Okay, so one of the major advantages of V2X is actually that it receives information that cannot be visually confirmed. So it can look around corners or see through walls, right? So if you look at an autonomous vehicle, it usually has 3 different types of sensors. That is radar, LiDAR, and camera. But they can just see and sense what it's in its direct line of sight. With the technology of V2X, the car will be able to get relevant information from other cars, from the infrastructure, potentially pedestrians or bicycles that are not in the direct line of sight. So around the corner, and that can be confirmed by that second traffic light you see there. It just disappeared because it's right now on the edge of the range we can receive. So there, that is already a message we get, which is 1.5 blocks away. So we have 4 different traffic lights. They are upgraded with that technology, so they carry a V2X transmitter. And now you see the traffic light ahead of us is red, and we get this. We can confirm that also visually. So we get that information on the screen as well as visually. Now it's green. It also tells us how fast we should minimally go in order to catch the green phase before it switches back to red. Now the implementation here in Austin right now for this demo is a static one. So the traffic light just switches in a normal pattern, in a predefined pattern. Once you have more cars on the road with V2X, you want them to switch dynamically, and by that you can steer your traffic and you manage traffic much more efficiently, because the traffic lights will know how many cars are about to come to a crossing, and therefore reduce the waiting time for people and simply optimize it.
So I see sometimes that this signal appears and it disappears.
Right.
And then why that is then?
So sometimes we were too far away, but it's also actually it also doesn't give us information on the traffic light because we are now on the parallel street, and we have not entered that street yet.
Okay.
So it while seeing it just confirms there's a traffic light, but it won't tell you now, hey, drive at least a certain speed. Because you're not on that road, it's not relevant right now for us.
Yeah.
So now you see that it's green, but now as we entered the street, we got the information, hey, drive at that speed. The distance that can be covered is open sight 2 kilometers. In cities, it's of course less. I mean, this system is now also not performance-wise optimized. We just attached the antennas on top. The toughest situations is in woods because trees are absorbing the signals, but even there it's still almost 100 meters. So it's pretty good. And here, it's more than efficient for the speed you're driving at.
So what is the signal radius then? How much the signal covers?
So around open side, it would be 2 kilometers. I cannot tell you exactly now because that depends on the buildings and the surrounding. But it's a few 100 meters inside cities. That's usually. And as I said, you will drive 25, 35 miles in the city on such roads. So that's safety-wise more than efficient, and also for traffic management flow. We had 2 additional use cases. Usually, one we showed with an emergency car.
Okay.
You could imagine that you have a green light. It's not yet an upgraded light, so you would just go over with your 35 miles over the crossing, but there's an emergency car coming from the right.
Okay.
Towards driving to an accident. Before you actually can see or hear that emergency car, you will get the information. Hey, although you got a green light, please stop. Somebody's coming from the right. And we have a use case with a drone actually, but
drones?
Yeah, but we were unfortunately not allowed to let it take off. It was too windy, and the weather was not as good. So here you see now a use case which is on making pedestrians visible. So our colleague there carried an RFID, a long-range RFID tag, and the traffic light recognized that. In this case, it's not the official traffic light, but it's the one there on the right. So we had to use that one. and for that it just switched red once it recognized them. And you could put these long-range RFID tags. They're very inexpensive. You can put them on the helmets of school kids, or you provide little tokens to school kids, and by that you prevent a class of school or kids on the way to school to wait in front of traffic lights at a very busy road and potentially run onto the street.
So that detects a pedestrian, you said?
Yeah. Yeah. So this one antenna there, the gray one, is an RFID reader. An RFID tag is a passive element. That's an NFC one, so it's the same technology. On that one, you have a range of just 10 centimeters. Long-range RFID work up to 20 meters. One of the very interesting use cases for V2X is platooning. So when you have an array of trucks driving behind each other, all the trucks that are behind the first one can hand over control to the driving one, and actually the drivers take a rest, and they can also shorten the distance between the trucks, and by that save fuel up to 10 or even more than 10% because of less wind. Yeah, now we got the message of an emergency vehicle approaching, but you see a skull there, right? That was because there was somebody pretending to be an emergency vehicle, but they didn't carry the unique key that is required to be authenticated as an emergency vehicle.
Ah.
So you will get the message, hey, I'm an emergency vehicle, but the system will know that's somebody that probably hacked the system, so it will discard the message and ignore it. Because security is, of course, a very relevant topic for V2X.
Great.